I've been wanting to add a water feature to my back patio for a while. Something calm and grounding, and something I hoped could be easily achieved by anyone wanting a unique piece that can't be found in the big box stores. Doors might look different depending on the materials you use, but the foundation and overall steps should largely stay the same. Now, not to get too deep, but the more I started looking into fountains, the more I realized some of the most beautiful ones weren't created for peace at all. The one in particular I couldn't shake from my mind after seeing these terracotta pots with their little cups was one built from grief. Don't worry, I'm not about to send us down a historical rabbit hole. That would be a different lesson for a different channel. But while I'm doing the tedious task of sealing and waterproofing these pots, I thought I'd share an abbreviated story about a ruler who turned that grief into something physical, something you could see and hear. His name was Khan Kiram Girai. A ruler, a conqueror, and someone people didn't really say no to. But the story doesn't remember him for his power. It remembers him for a girl named Maria. She was a Polish countess taken from her home and brought somewhere she never chose to be. And from the moment she arrived, she made it clear she would never become part of that world. She was quiet and understandably distant. And the more distant she was, the more drawn to her he became. Not because she loved him, but because she didn't. But there was already someone else, Zarema, who loved him in a way that was anything but quiet. And when love starts to feel one-sided, jealousy can rear its ugly head. So one night, something shifts, and depending on who tells it, the details change. But the ending doesn't. By morning, Maria was gone. And whatever happened in that room, jealousy, desperation, grief, it left something behind that couldn't be undone. And for the first time, the Khan had something he couldn't control, and nothing he could fix. So riddled with sadness, he built something. A fountain. At the very top, there's a small detail carved to resemble an eye, and from it, water slowly falls. It moves from one level to the next, over and over again. Some people say each level reflects a different kind of grief. The moment it hits, the weight of it, and what's left after. Not gone, just quieter. There's something so hauntingly beautiful about that story. And if you're still here, thank you for letting me share what inspired this project. Now that the pots are sealed and cured, we can get to the fun part, the assembly. I'll start by placing these simple index cards under the holes to keep the sealant from contacting the tile. I'm using this marine Loctite to seal the openings, and it's designed to work while fully submerged in water. We'll smooth that out so the base I add later can sit evenly. Next up, these gorgeous, kidding, 5-gallon containers from Lowe's. I'll start by creating a hole for the tubing, then making a series of small holes around the sides to make sure water can always reach the pump. To get the height I need, I'll be doing this to 2 containers and stacking them on top of each other. To help them sit flat, I'm using my Dremel tool to carve out a small notch for the pump's power cable to rest inside. Taking this simple pump, I'll choose the attachment that matches the tubing size I bought, and I'm opening this vent to let in as much water as possible. Then I'll place the pump inside this mesh bag to help keep debris out. I'm not interested in taking this apart for frequent cleanings, so I'm hoping this stretches the time between maintenance. Once the tubing is secure, we'll pull the drawstring tight and thread the tubing through the buckets. After making sure the pump is sitting flat, I'm going to secure the tubing here at the top so any tugging or movement doesn't lift, flip, or dislodge anything while I'm setting the upper level of the fountain. Once that's in place, I'll use that same sealant around the tubing to make sure this level holds water. While that sets up, I'm going to give these rocks I'll be using a good rinse so the water stays as clean and clear as possible. The easiest way I've found to do that is to cut a few holes in the bottom of the bag and run water through it. Once the sealant is cured, I'm going to start filling both the bottom and upper levels with water bottles. This does two things. First, it takes up space, which is a lot more economical than filling everything with expensive rocks. And second, if I ever need to take this apart, emptying these containers will be much easier. Taking the apparently used fountain kit Amazon so lovingly sent me, tape back up and everything, you can see that there are three options to choose from. The first gives a simple bubbling effect, the second is more of a showerhead spray, and the one I'll be using creates this beautiful bell shape, which is the whole reason I bought this kit. I did test all this out in my bathtub before assembly, so I'd at least have a rough idea of what I was getting into. This will be the base the hose connects to. This knob adjusts the flow rate. And on the opposite side, I'm removing the cap and adding an attachment that should allow water to flow under pressure, hopefully pushing water out of the upper vessel and allowing water to spill from the 4 cups. The rest is really just building up the height of the fountain to fit my needs. Now that the sealant has cured, we can trim the excess tubing, leaving about 1.5 inches to feed into the fountain kit we just assembled. I started filling the fountain with rocks because I'm incredibly impatient, but in hindsight, I definitely should have tested everything first. After filling it with water, I discovered a few problems. The first is pretty obvious: the floor isn't level. That was intentional so the patio doesn't flood when it rains, but it does create a challenge here. The second issue is that since I removed the cap to let the water push through, it's also acting as a siphon, pulling water from the top basin and overflowing the bottom. Normally this wouldn't be a problem because everything would be directly connected to the pump, but I was trying to avoid drilling additional holes in the top basin and running more tubing. If I had to do it all over again, that's probably exactly what I'd do. But not to worry, as long as power is connected and the water keeps flowing, everything works just fine. And the last issue was that I hadn't adjusted the flow rate enough to create pressure for both the exposed side and the fountain head. Luckily, it's just a few rocks and water bottles that need to come back out. I'm so glad I thought that through. The only things left to do now are bring in some greenery and create a stone border to tie everything together so it feels like it's part of the patio instead of something floating on its own. We found several plants that can live solely in water and ultimately decided on these peace lilies, making sure to clean them well and remove any soil residue. That should help keep the fountain clean and prevent the roots from rotting. That's what Google says anyway. If you have any ideas for keeping the water clean and clear long term, I'd love to hear them. It's funny, I didn't expect a small project like this to feel so layered. It always takes me a minute to adjust to time changes, so maybe I'm just being overly sensitive. But I love how it turned out. It's simple, beautiful, and calming. And now I have my own fountain I can pour whatever emotion I'm carrying into, let it dissolve, and set down the weight of things I was never meant to hold.